Doodlebud. Today we're checking out this lovely pen. This is a Magna Carta, first Magna Carta pen I've ever used. This is the Elements model. The element in question is called Earth. So it has that cool type of pattern. I think I've seen this before. I'll show you where. We're going to be using this paper here because this whole setup here today was sent to me by the kind folks over there at Appelboom. I was talking to Joost. He put quite a few pens for me together for review purposes, so this is another one of those. I guess they have a special edition little storyboard book. This is by Endless. It's got the regalia paper, which I love because it shows off cool inks. The cool ink today is a Robert Oster one that he also matched up. This is the Dutch Peach. Fantastic pairing with this pen. So I'm excited to show you that. Has a cool filling system. First one I've seen of this type. Writes wonderfully. One little nitpick I have kind of bugs me a bit. I'll have to get the microscope to show you, but let's get to it. So like I said, this is my first Magna Carta pen. I've been pretty darn pleased. This is the box it came in. It has a broad nib. There you go. Pop off the box. Nothing too cool to see inside of here. No cartridge or converter because it has this filling system called a pneumatic filling system. I'll show you what that's all about. Then it just has this little card in here, I guess like a registration one. They got a 5-year warranty. And Magna Carta, in case you didn't know, they are made in India. So there's the box. I don't think we need to do any more on that. When you close it rapidly, it makes a sound. Now on to the pen, as I'll give you a quick little flyby so you can see it. But this particular resin, I swore I've seen this before, and I have a pen that's very close to it. So this is an Esterbrook. This is Petrified Forest. This is Magna Carta's Elements Earth type color. So you can see a similar idea. And if you get you up close here, if we can get the light, you got these little kind of black threads almost you can see throughout it. You see them in here in this resin as well. Where are we? There's one you can see right there. So, but a little bit different in color. I just want to show you that as a comparison because on their website, it shows it. It's very nice. Like I really like the resin. It's quite attractive. But the color scheme that they're using on their photography, whatever they did, it shows up as much more red. Maybe it's changed over time, but this is kind of like a dark grapefruit. This is like a bright kind of pinky grapefruit. Now, I will put details down in the description for the physical dimensions of the pen, but I'll show you right now. This is a large pen. Right next to it, this is a Mont Blanc 149. So very, very similar. This is like a Leonardo Mosaico, very large pen as well. So it's right in there. Let's throw in another one. What do we got here? This is my Omas 360. And then we got the Visconti Homo sapiens Bronze Age. So it's right in there with the big pens. If you like big pens, you're going to like this one. Here we are, caps off with a couple of them so you can see right in there with the big ones. I have not weighed this pen yet, so I thought we'd do this right now. In the hand, it feels really good. The weight and size seem quite nice. It's very comfortable. Let's get an official number. This is with almost no ink, so let's just call it, it'll be 35 some odd grams when you have it full of ink. Let's pop off that cap to see what we got. If it'll stay put, there we go, 23.5, let's say. The cap comes off. I think it's right around 2 turns. There's one. Yep, 2 right on the button. So that's, not too bad. 2 turns is just fine. Nothing wrong with that. It posts securely. I find it makes it excessively large. It does back weight it a bit. Nothing crazy, but it's long enough. Like I think this is just too much if you post it, but some people like to post a pen even if it's quite long. So there we go. There's some basic overview of it. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. So this is very interesting filling system. So let's just pop off the barrel. If it unscrews just like most other pens, then there is not a cartridge converter in there. It's got an ink blatter. You can see it has some fresh talc on it here. So how do you fill this thing? Do you just take it and squeeze it by hand? No. You put this back on. Let's, there's some bits down here. There's a bit of a better look. So we got some stuff going on. What happens is you pop off the cap. I got the flash on here. And then you slide this out. So there's this tube here that slides up and down in the pen. What is this all about? And there's also a hole at the end. Let me show you how you fill this pen up because I'm almost out of ink anyways. Let's just put this back on. There we go. You draw up the bar. You pull it up like that. You can see it moving. And there's a hole at the end so you can see. Now let me just show you what happens. If you don't put your finger over the end of the hole, so if you hold it sort of on the, 1 second. Let me fix the angle. Okay, let's try this again. I tell you, doing reviews, it's not so simple. Trying to show you stuff and get the angle at the same time. Just so you know, the Dutch peach cleans up reasonably well. It's no Bay State blue. Okay, so if you go to fill the pen and push the bar down without your finger being over the hole, I'll just push it down. Not a whole lot happens. Okay, I'll do that a few times. I'll take off the barrel and you'll see there'll be no ink inside of that sack. So you can see here, let's pop this off. And we still have the same little bit of ink in there. So what you'd have to do is put your finger over that hole on the back. What that does is as you drive this in, if you keep your finger over it, you're going to compress the air. So it's going to squish that sack. So it'll compress the sack. If there's any air in there, it'll exit. Adjusted there just so you can see the whole thing. But it'll the air will get forced out of the sack along with any ink that's in there. See, hear all those bubbles, okay? Now what you do is you take your finger off, new air comes in, so now that little air sac that's in there can relax. As it relaxes, it will draw up ink. Very similar to like sac mechanisms on vintage pens. Now normally I don't try to fill pens on a daily basis in front of a camera. We'll do it twice. There's no more air going in there, so we should be full. Let's take a look at that ink sac now. Okay, here we go. Did another pump on there or two. Got a little bit more. I'll weigh the pen so you can see how much ink volume that actually is. I guess if you really want, you could squeeze it manually and do it that way. But I find it's a decent ink capacity in there. Let's wait and see. If memory serves me right, I think it was 23.3. I'll have to go back to the footage if it was different. Then we got 24.1, so about 0.8 milliliters with that much ink in it. I'll start writing with it shortly, which is my absolute favorite part with this pen. The nib has been fantastic and writing just wonderfully. I really actually enjoy writing with this pen. It's quite an enjoyable pen to work with. So overall construction, I would say it's pretty good. These cap bands are on here quite nice. They don't spin or anything like that. There's no sharp edges or bumps you feel from any of these. Everything's quite smooth on there, nice and solid. No issues with that. The polish on the body is quite good. Everything's looking quite nice here as well. Nice and shiny on the clip and the rings. Everything there is quite nice. The threads are decent. There is one little issue I'll show you in a little bit. I'll come back to that. We have an ebonite feed on here. It says so on their website. It looks like it's an ebonite feed. This is a number 6 nib. Let's get you a little closer so you can just sort of see some of those details there on the feed and on the nib. We got the Magna Carta logo that is stamped into there. That's not done via laser. And here's just a quick view of the section, little taper there. And yeah, just very, very comfortable pen. You can sort of see some of the inner bits. There we go with the focus on the inside. So yeah, something interesting to look at when you're using the pen. I have a pretty good size hand and I find this pen sits in it extremely well. Very comfortable. I've used it for some longer writing sessions. Just writing like kind of random stuff, whatever. It was just a joy to use. It's just very natural, comfortable feeling pen. Everything you like about a fountain pen as far as how it feels in the hand, how it works in the page. Let's just get to the writing sample right now because that is really where this pen shines. Overall, it's quite good. Like I said, one issue here with the threads, but other than that, I've been enjoying this pen quite a bit. I just realized now when I plug in my external mic, I have to manually change something on the screen to go to it. It doesn't do it by default. So sorry for the terrible audio you've been hearing this whole time. But nonetheless, here we go. We got quite the difference in ink color between the Regalia paper and the Rhodia here in the background. As per usual, the Regalia kind of thickens up the line width because it just sort of soaks it in, but it does feel quite nice. There's a looky-loo there, and then here we are on the more familiar Rhodia paper as well. On the Rhodia, I would say this feels more like a medium-sized nib. And then on the Regalia, definitely more of the broad. But lovely shading. It's just, it actually makes me want to eat a peach, this Dutch peach ink. So I'm quite happy with it. And I think it is just a lovely pairing to go with the pen. One thing I've noticed, so the plating, so I'll get into the little tidbits now, little nitpicks, I should say. So we got the plating on the nib here. You can see it doesn't just seem to be as shiny as on the clip. I don't know if the camera is going to pick that up. But let me just show you for comparison here. So here we have a Esterbrook Etsy in that petrified forest. So you can see their nib, it just has a little more brightness to it. The Magna Carta one, what they're doing there, I don't know what they're doing exactly with that plating, but it's just not quite as shiny. It doesn't impact it whatsoever. It's just something I noticed. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that could potentially cause an issue with wear and tear down the road. I have no idea. That doesn't bother me so much, but with the threads, so I'll get out the microscope and show you. There we go. So you can see what's going on here. It's off. It wants to cross thread. I'll show you why. I had a look under the microscope. Well, not the microscope, but my loupe was enough to see it. It just has to do with that lead in on the body here itself. Most of the time it's okay. But you put it on and it screws in no problem with your 2 turns. It's nice and secure. This has not dried up on me once. I've left it for over 2 weeks inked up. Writes immediately. So all of that's really good. It's just, there we go. Just depending how you put it on and just depending what type of person you are, you might try to not, you might not notice it's off and you go to refit some more. That's how you're going to crack a pen body. These are beautiful resins. They look quite nice. They get all nice and polished and shiny. But they're not a super strong material, so you could miss it a bit. So one thing, if it does snag, if you feel some resistance, you just back it a touch, you'll feel it go click, and then restart the thread. You can hear it there. The multi-start position, so it's a multi-start thread. And then now you're good. The thread is smooth along the whole way, but just that initial start. So let me just show you what that looks like. And who knows, maybe they'll see this too. And there's just a little tweak on there, and that problem's avoided. Okay, so here we are looking at the end of the section where the cap is going to thread onto the body. So you can see there's a pretty good chamfer on the start of that thread going on to the section there. So you can just see that new thread starting. But because there's quite a large chamfer on there, you can see it's going to want to sometimes catch one thread too high along the body. So I can't really get my finger in there. Yeah, I can't get it. It's too close, but I think you can see what I'm talking about. There's that thread there on the left. That one's just starting, but the chamfer goes up quite high. And as the pen cap goes on, it's going to want to sort of jump to the next one. And that's essentially what a cross thread is. The thread's getting a little confused on where to start. While we're at it, here's the tip of the pen. We got lots of nice tipping material on there. The alignment is good. The gap is good. Everything on this is pretty darn good. You get funny little shadows here just from lighting and reflections, but there we are. There's a close-up of that ebonite feed as well. You can see it's lots of surface energy, so it's going to soak up the ink quite nice and have zero problems really with flow. My final thoughts on this lovely Magna Carta Elements pen in earth trim here and earth coloring sent to me by Appelboom. First, thank you for sending me this pen for review purposes. Hopefully any folks out there that are interested in this one, this will help answer some of your questions you may or may not have with it. So definitely check out the description there. Link will be in there. I enjoy the pen. I think it's quite comfortable. It works nicely. I like the filling system, something different. Overall construction's quite good. Like I said, the only issue I had was with the threads there. That's just a little tiny tweak in what they're doing on their process. If it didn't have that, then I'm like, it's absolutely perfect. Very comfortable. The nib was great. Nice and wet and juicy. You expect that for a broad nib. So I got no complaints on that whatsoever. Yeah, I've been keep coming back to this pen for writing because it's just one of those pens, at least for me, that's just comfortable in the hand. Whoa, thank goodness that lid was on. Holy cow. It's just so comfortable in the hand, and the nib is quite nice. I just keep coming back to this one whenever I want to write. I just love seeing it. I think the ink color kind of helps with that too, because it's just that time of year. It's summertime, so it's just a happy color too. But yeah, there we go. As you see, it went on there just fine. It's just every now and then you catch it wrong. It's just that lead in, lead out of that thread lead in, I should say. And there we go. Now it's off a bit, so you just got to do that. So if they just tweak that little bit there, just don't come in so much with that chamfer, I think you'll be bang on with those threads. We will leave it there for now. I've been enjoying using this pen. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you have any Magna Carta pens? Have you used them? How has it been going for you? While you're at it, hit the button, says subscribe, like, comments, all that good stuff. Hope you've enjoyed the video. We'll catch you next time.